What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream episode of Sales Remastered. If you guys notice, I didn't get a chance to actually announce it or promote it or do any advertisements because I want this session in itself to be with my true peoples, my real audience members, my real side hustlers who are more interested in their craft and gaining not only a sense of a community, but also learn how to grow, as a group and more or less as a community here at Sales Remastered. I think that, it doesn't necessarily always need to be kind of beating you down with all these emails and all these likes, shares, subscribes, and comment. I think that if you want to know how to win, you're going to find your way to learn how to win. A buddy of mine, his name's Scott Short from up north. Scott, if you're watching, appreciate the support. He'd mentioned, I did a live stream a couple weeks ago. No, actually last week, and the audio didn't come through, which, by the way, comment real quick. Let me know you guys can hear me. Audio's working right. Don't want that to happen again. Everyone, leave a comment right now if you can. Just post up, maybe put in the 2 letters of the state that you're watching from. I know I got a lot of California peeps on here. And, this interaction, this engagement is not only helpful for me, but it's also helpful for the algorithm here on YouTube, as well as those who are watching on the Instagram feed. And I got some real interesting information for you guys. If you guys have already read the notes, today we're going to talk about how outside loan officers, because you guys need love too. A lot of my content, a lot of the information is based on, inside loan agents and selling over the phone and doing a lot of refi business. And over the last couple months, I've done a lot of research and studying on the craft of generating business outside as well. And what I'm talking about is that, we have this obligation where we rely on our company for resources, but at the same time, we have to balance it out and we have to become a resource for our company. And I want you to think about that because you right now going out, knocking on doors, visiting open houses and looking at, different sources of leads, I get hit up with comments all the time where, you're having to find these different pockets of business, and typically it's done through realtors. And I know there are a lot of loan agents right now who probably are having frustration with generating business through realtors in the outside field. And typically has to do with their strategy. It has a lot to do with how they're actually generating that collaboration, if you will, with these outside realtors. And so I'm getting a couple notes here saying that the tone off. Can you guys hear me? Sounds good. You guys okay? I'm about to drop some gold right now, and I definitely don't want to happen. What happened last week where the audio was off this entire time. So I'm seeing cues that that the sound is working okay. So before I go in, I want to give us kind of a current State of the Union address where we right now are our typical method of creating a relationship with the realtors. We ask them for coffee, right? Like, let's go meet up and have lunch, or let's go and meet up and have coffee. And I want you to understand one thing, and in this case, we're going to be a little bit empathetic, and I want you to experience something where you may have already kind of gone through, where you've trained your mind and yourself to ultimately mute out. And it could be spam mail, could be junk mail. It could be, spam direct messages that you get on LinkedIn. Like, I get them all the time, right? Now that I put business consultant and coach in my profile, you will be amazed to see how many different spam messages I get inside my LinkedIn inbox now. And one thing that I've noticed is true is that a lot of these solicitors don't take the time to actually personalize the message. And if you're doing this, it's okay. It's not your fault. I think that, again, we rely on different resources to help guide us through and push us through. But sometimes those resources are so automated, they're so robotic, where we tend to miss the little things that make a world of a difference. And so where I'm getting at is when we get solicited by these messages or these emails or these offers, we'll notice sometimes that some marketers are, using just this general template. They use this plugin, right? And it's all it is just basically this template that they copy and paste. There's no real personalization. And if you guys ever filled out like an opt-in form, sometimes they'll mess up, right? And your name's spelled wrong, or it says Daniel last name, and like you're like, what? My name is not Daniel last name. Like, it's because there's no personalization. There's no actual realness to the email. And typically when we see certain messages set up in this way, we've developed this kind of filter within ourselves to kind of mute that out and block it out. And I think that the same thing rings true even in audio form. So when we're soliciting realtors and we ask them to, have a meeting with us at like a coffee shop, I think that we sometimes forget to empathize with the realtor and remember that they also get asked this by all of our competitors, by at least, I would say, at least 30 to 100 loan officers per month. And the reason why this is important is because if you've ever done any cold calling, if you've ever done any solicitation by phone, or if you've ever been solicited by phone, you'll notice that whenever you get the sense or the hint that you're talking to a salesman, you immediately get turned off, right? And you start thinking about like, oh man, I don't got time for this. And I want you to understand that these realtors react ultimately the same exact way. They're going to think like, oh man, I don't got time for no coffee. And so what I'm going to share with you are different strategies to reposition yourself and give you some type of glimmer of hope, and know that it's not coffee that they want. Does that make sense? They don't want the muffins. They don't want your little danishes dropped off at their shop. They appreciate the gift baskets and you buying them wine or some sort of drinks or what have you. These gifts are nice and all, but at the end of the day, it's not really going to create that relationship that I believe you're doing or buying all these things for. And so I'm going to give you some ideas here that not only will help you improve your approach with these realtors, but also look at different resources as lead sources. For one, just a little bit of my backstory for those of you who haven't followed me at Sales Remastered. I've been originating loans for a little over 15 years now, and I've also done outbound solicitations for other services that I sold. At one point I was actually selling paving stones, and I also sold legal services, bankruptcy services. Most of my background in history, although is in real estate. And at times when I needed to, because I used to work for a broker shop that don't typically provide you lead sources. So you got to hunt. You're on your own, buddy. And at those times, I had to become very creative. And I want to share with you some of the ways that I became creative that helped me generate these business opportunities. But first off, I need you to understand, because this was one of my most important lessons that I learned from one of my mentors in sales, just in general. And it's really understanding what you are. And when I say what you are, I'm talking about what services do we bring? Like, what's so special about us? Because at the end of the day, if everyone has access to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, FHA, what's the difference with you? Really what it comes down to then is that price. And sometimes as a sales representative, the last thing we want to do is race to the bottom for price, because ultimately that's not going to build you the relationship that you need to foster the loyalty that you need to make sure that deal sticks all the way through. And more importantly, it's not going to create that type of relationship where you are influencing them to refer you to other people. And I think that in itself needs to be understood before we can actually even have the audacity to go ahead and ask for business from other people. And so how it translates is, outside loan programs, like they're like non-QM programs that allow homeowners who traditionally would not be qualified through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, or FHA, programs like bank statement only programs, or stated loan programs, or equity share programs. These are the non-QM programs that become your valuable resource. These become the reason as to why someone would want to do business with you, or how you have this exclusive access to programs that are helping people. And the question is, do I roll it out that way? Do I roll it out exactly how the loan program shows on my rate sheet? I would strongly recommend you do not, because chances are the way that it shows on your rate sheet, or the loan program that your company calls it, another lender probably calls it that way too. Yesterday I did a premiere video on YouTube and also Facebook, and one of the shares had to do with, how do you update your prospect if the market improves? And you have a choice. You could be like every other loan officer out there, every other marketer out there, and say, hey, you know what, the market just improved. Let's go ahead and revisit your application to see what I could do today. And what I'd found with that type of approach is that you're just going to sound like everyone else, right? And so the last thing I want you to do is sound like your competitors. If anything, I want to be able to help you make noise in a different way. And so I would recommend that you get creative and you actually take some time, because you only need to do it right once. And when you do it right the first time and you see some traction, you can then tweak it. Whereas if I called you and I was just talking about 30-year fixed, everyone has a 30-year fixed. But if I told you, hey man, I got access to this one program that actually helps homeowners get qualified who are self-employed and don't necessarily need tax returns. Here's the thing, is that when I work with homeowners who are self-employed, what I have found is that a lot of them don't qualify because they write off everything but water. Fortunately, I have this program that enables them to become homeowners, right? Or become, buyers, or to get qualified without any delay and with minimal paperwork. And ultimately what you're talking about are these non-QM programs that are okay to, lend based on equity or lend based on bank statements or deposits. And with your access to these programs, that positions you in a more unique, favorable way. And I just want to share with you, you got to understand your leverage also, because when you understand your leverage and what you bring to the table, then you can open your eyes and start getting creative with the use of technology and the resources we have today. So besides relying on realtors to have that coffee appointment with you, or share a few minutes with you at Starbucks, you have an opportunity where you can actually have them want to buy you coffee. And here's how. So I want you to think about how you found this channel, how you found my content, especially if I don't know you personally. If I don't know you, like we don't work for the same company, I want you to ask yourself, how did you find me? And more than likely how you found me, or how you were receiving my emails as of today, is because you requested some valuable information from me, or you found value from me. And I want you to understand that whether you found me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, wherever you found me, LinkedIn, I want you to understand that your attention was already there. All I had to do was get creative and put my content there. You see, the best way to get the attention is to be where it already is. And so all I had to do was just create valuable information and then put it on the stream where all the attention already was, and somehow we connected. Somehow right now you're watching me on live, or you've been following my content, and I want you to use that template or that idea and start thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So all I need to do is create some valuable information and I can start attracting people, right? Ultimately, how you would transcribe it to your business is you would attract leads for these sources. You see, the reason why realtors don't want to have coffee with you is because they know or are expecting all you're going to do is ask them to help them. You're not necessarily going to bring them any value, even though you believe you have value. They don't believe it's value because they already have somebody. Make sense? They don't know you. They probably have a lot of relationships already embedded, and they don't necessarily need you. Everyone is promising them fast turn times. Everyone is promising them more alerts and more updates and the coolest software technology and paid donuts. And that's just not attracting them anymore. These people evolve and they get burnt because a lot of people a lot of loan officers promised those same things and ultimately they had a bad experience. So then what do? Well, what you do is you gotta understand the art of positioning And if you position yourself as the resource and you position yourself to almost think of it as like you are the employer, right? Like next time you go to a meeting with a realtor, imagine how that feel. Like you are the employer and the realtor's asking you for the job. And that gives you this sense of confidence that I think you need in order to attract the business that you want. Otherwise, you're just going to continue knocking on doors and wasting a ton of time hanging around like a bugaboo at someone's open house, feeling awkward, feeling like, man, I'm probably not going to get anything from this. Now I want you to understand that you have value. You have something that you could really bring to the table. It's just all the matter of how you actually express it and how can I put it? How you put it out there and offer it. And so here's the thing is that when you start to get creative and create these different sources to pull people in, I want you to know one thing is that what attracts them and what you might perceive as value has nothing to do with rate, has nothing to do with price, has nothing to do with, I got this 30-year fixed program and first 1 year is a rate lower. It has nothing to do with that. That's not value to most prospects. What most prospects understand as value is really information. We're in an informational age, right? And I want you to understand how it affects you when you feel like you learned a new shortcut, like if that's ever happened to you. And why it feels so cool is very much like when we were kids and we used to play video games, right? Like back in my day, we had these video games where we had like these little cheat codes, or we had these little hidden areas within that stage, and only if you knew it, then you can advance 3 or 4 stages ahead. It's kind of like that. It's when you understand this advantageous secret that you feel empowered. And if and the person who taught you that becomes just that much more valuable. Does that make sense? And so we have to have that same effect with people. And ultimately what you can do now is share this information in groups that are already in place, right? Like one of the things that I have down here as a resource that for leads people probably aren't even approaching are like garage sale groups. There's garage sale groups right now on your favorite social media plan, or kind of like marketplace on Facebook, right? Like who's taking the time to actually look at that and notice people, right? Like if you see a lot of people selling a lot of stuff, like it's just commonly this person, what are the chances that they're probably moving? Right? And so you get to see their name, who actually adds them or sends them a direct message and be like, hey, notice you're selling a bunch of stuff. If you need any help in your next move, feel free to let me know. If they reply back and say, hey man, I'm not moving, say, okay, cool, no worries. Good luck with selling all your stuff. At least you put it out there and you created this kind of avenue to approach someone for leads. But besides realtors, just because I'm already about 20 minutes in explaining why realtors are not going to have coffee with you, where I'm getting at is there are other sources besides realtors. So when you get a hang of actually attracting people to you, and now you have this kind of this base of leads, or at least this group of attention, then you can actually barter that. You can barter that attention. You can barter that access, if you will. So what do realtors really want? They want more leads. They want more deals. And the only way they can get more deals is if they actually are put in front of people who are selling or buying. Make sense? So if you understood how to position yourself to help them find more people who are buying and selling, as opposed to helping them with their current clients that they got to go find themselves, then you become like that person who just explained to them the cheat code of the game. They're going to like you more. And I guarantee you they're going to want to hang out with you more at more coffee shops. If that's your thing, that's what you're trying to do. But besides realtors, first off, is that helpful? Is the information I'm giving you guys helpful right now? Like type up in the comment chat right now. Show me some love. Like let me know like, yo, D, that makes sense, bro. Before I even dive into these other resources, I want some engagement. I want to know if this is bringing any value. Am I sparking any creative chords within that brain? Thank you, Callie. I appreciate you, lady. It makes sense. Thanks, Corradito. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, Scott Short. There you are. Preach on. Thank you, bro. Corey Groves out in Cali's. He's plugged into the YouTube, and I get it. sometimes I don't want to be the kind of the creature that's all about engagement or likes or shares or whatnot, but I'm on a mission, and my mission is to grow my brand, and my mission is to grow awareness to this channel. And you'd be amazed how many people actually will absorb the content but not really engage. And I appreciate each and every single one of you who are watching right now, whether it's IG, whether it's Facebook, or whether it's YouTube. Each and every single one of you who took the time out to send me an emoji, who took the time out to send me a DM and say, yo, D, this information is transformational, bro. Or shared with me like, hey man, I just used your technique and I closed this $500,000 loan. I appreciate you, bro. Because if you really think about it, the content that I give, if you really implement it, it not only helps you increase your income, but what I'm more interested in is that it helps you remaster your way of looking at this art of selling. I want to share with you guys that the old sales training garbage has got a new vibe to it. And I'm that new vibe. Like, when if you pay attention to the energy around your company, when they say, hey man, sales training is on in like 5 minutes, I want you to understand that most people actually put their head down like, man, I don't got no time for this. And I think it's because it is oftentimes you find yourself in this room where people look at it almost like school. Like the cool kids didn't want to go to school, right? So they'll sit back and be like, man, I don't need this garbage. I don't need this junk. But oftentimes, yeah, you do, boo-boo. You do need that junk because it just helps you understand how to do your job more effectively. And the reward, the upside, is that you're going to get more deals. And with more deals, you're going to get more income. And with more income, you're going to get more security. And with more security, you're going to get more confidence. And I think that confidence is what helps you radiate. You ever notice that whenever you're killing it in your game, you attract business? You just start, it's easier for you to make sales. Like you have this kind of this bravado about you. Like you stand sitting up tall, you feel good, and your energy is peaking when you got money coming, you got money in the bank. And that's all I want to bring you to. I want to bring you to that climax. I want to bring you to that height. So without further ado, let's go into other resources besides realtors. And you guys understand, realtors aren't the only pockets of leads. There's going to be this list that I go through that's probably going to open your eyes and be like, oh yeah, these people, I know some of these people. And hopefully it kind of strikes a chord where you can now understand the true leverage, and it's actually building your own community somehow, some way. Understand how to build your community, much like how I built the community of salespeople. You could build a community of general consumers if that's your thing and that's what you want to really want to do. But here's an idea. There's a statistic that over 60% of marriages actually fail, right? It's scary to think. And for some of us, a lot of us, like we probably experience it ourselves. I've been divorced before. I got a ton of friends who've been divorced. I got family members who've been divorced. I grew up in technically a broken home, so we have to understand these facts and how they work in our advantage. And when we understand these facts, we sometimes forget that as a loan consultant, we oftentimes get to, it's kind of like taking a peek in someone's closet. You get to see how dirty they really live. Does that make sense? You kind of get to hear what goes on behind the curtains. And so next time you hear from one of your prospects that there's this sudden type of animosity or they just don't get along, like I've done it. I've heard that thousands of times before. Like, oh, I don't share with them this information, or oh, I don't want them to be on this information, or I don't want them to be on this loan, or you handle me, she doesn't see any of the bank statements. There's kind of like that weird awkwardness, right? And what I found is that divorce attorneys are a massive piece of gold within our industry, not only because they can put us in contact with people who are going through divorces, but because they can put you in contact with multiple pieces of resources. So let me paint the picture for you. When a couple who own a home go through a separation, typically one, right, leaves the home. That's usually what happens. One leaves the home, goes through the divorce, signs off the decree that they own the home, and now that person either goes and rents or they got to go buy another home. Make sense? And in some cases, because the other person does not have an adequate income to afford the property, they need to then sell the property. And then what happens is one of those two ends up buying a new property. So now that one couple who, unfortunately, God willing, I mean, it sucks to hear, but at the same time, if you can catch that wave and position yourself favorably, you're actually doing good, right? Because who'd want something as toxic to stay together? Do it for their kids, do it for their well-being, do it for their mind state. Like, understand you're helping them. Some people will look at that and be like, oh, I don't want to get involved with that. Yeah, get involved, because what happens is when they buy a home, they're going to refinance again later. And you want to be that person who helps them do those transactions too. But with a divorce attorney, you can become a network of referrals for them, because maybe the clients that you talk to already has questions, right? Like, oh man, I got questions on trusts, right? I got questions on what my rights are. I got questions about community property rules, right? These are different things that you really need to be aware of. And if you can become a resource for these attorneys, then they can become also a resource to you. It's just a question of like, okay, well, how do I approach an attorney? And I need you to understand, attorney are just salesmen. Attorney are just like us. Right? Attorney are just salesmen who really, really understand their guidelines. think of that. Think of like a super strong underwriter who knows how to sell. Like, that's an attorney, bro. Like, they know all the laws, they know all the bylaws, and they know kind of these fancy words or whatnot. But at the end of the day, an attorney is just a salesman, bro. And when we understand that attorneys are just like CPAs, or just like accountants, or just like insurance agents, these are all other referrals, by the way, referral sources. They're all self-employed, meaning that they don't get typically paid base salary. These are all self-employed individuals. And so just like realtors, their primary focus is to find more business. Isn't that funny? Like, we all just want more business. Loan officers, realtors, CPAs, doctors, insurance agents, we're all just out hunting. Well, imagine if you were the person who had all the sheep, all the cattle, all the deer, all the game. Make sense? And you're like, yo, bro, like, why you hunting for, bro? I got it. And I could deliver it to you. You become like their DoorDash. Anyway, so when you're dealing with these divorce attorneys, or these attorneys at law, it's a little bit easier to approach. Some people will get intimidated by that ESQ by their name, or think that, oh, these people are 8-year degree members. Man, those people got debt, bro. And what that means is they need to make more income than you can only imagine. And I need you to understand that you have to go through it and get rejected a few times, because without experience, you won't get results. And without experience and results, you'll never get the confidence that you want to actually approach these people. So go ahead and try it, bro. Like if you get declined, they're not going to remember you in a month or two, and you could try it again. But at least you'll collect the rejection, the reason why you're getting rejected, so that the next time you go around on the next approach to the next attorney, the next agent, you'll know how they respond. So then you can craft your delivery in a different way. It's much like how you're doing your sales now. You were rejected a few times when you first started, but then you got better, right? It's kind of like riding a bike. Probably scraped your knee a few times, but then you got better. So I need you to really absorb that. But think of it, divorce attorneys are a great resource. Besides that, a lot of people, some people will solicit like homeowners insurance agents. And that's a great idea, because homeowners insurance agents are typically the first to learn of when an insurance policy is being opened. And typically an insurance policy is being opened usually at escrow, because they need to know, right? And so if you have a strong relationship with an insurance agent, they'll notify you, or at least let you know. It's kind of burning, right, the other realtor. But at the end of the day, they don't have a relationship with the other realtor. They got a relationship with you. They don't have a relationship with a loan officer helping their client. They got a relationship with you. And so how you return the favor is each and every deal you do, if you know that they could get a better deal in their homeowner's insurance, you become this pocket of leads for that insurance agent. Does that make sense? Much like a life insurance agent, another valuable resource of these data, because you have to understand that insurance agents are all about MLM. They're all about networking, right? Within their family members, to their friends, their neighbors. Like, if you know any insurance agents, you know this, right? Like, they are all about networking. That insurance agent, I guarantee you, helps their entire neighborhood, helps 50 of their immediate friends, helps their 50 immediate friends' family member, and their family members' friends, and their family members' friends' neighbors. That's just how it goes. But when we understand that these networkers, like insurance agents and life insurance agents, are your strongest key factors, because it's just congruently going together all the time. Every new business you generate, you get a sneak peek of how much they're paying in their insurance. More importantly, with these life insurance agents, you get a sneak peek of the family and the liabilities and the resources, right? So if you know that you have a family who has 3 kids and they're all young, and there's one sole income in the house, and there's a ton of debt, no savings in the bank, how valuable is that information to someone who sells life insurance? Because the last thing that they want to do is, if that person passes away, they don't want to transfer all that debt. That is what I'm talking about. That becomes so valuable where you can feed that. More importantly, life insurance agents are networking all day long. All day long. So if you think about all of their clients, and let's just say they had 10 clients for that month, which is super small if you're selling life insurance, 10 clients per month, that's 120 for the year, and that's on the super low end. Imagine if you only got 10% of that. What's 10% of 120? That's 12. So one loan extra per month. How much are you paid for one loan? And that's one referral, by the way. Referrals are the easiest things to close because they kind of already, bought into you. And besides life insurance agents and homeowners insurance agents, what about FSBOs? FSBOs stands for sale by owner. First off, everybody here, let me know. Is it valuable, helpful? Is it good? Have any of you thought of these resources yet? What's up, Kevin? Appreciate it, Corey. Community bonfire. What should I prepare myself for in getting involved with a large piece of real estate? This is my first time in the market. What you should prepare yourself for, I'm not sure I know what you mean, bro. Prepare myself for getting involved with a large piece of real estate. You mean like you're buying a large piece of home? Let me know. Maybe I'll answer it. Scott Short, mind blown. Appreciate that, bro. Thanks, everybody. Looking at all the comments on both YouTube as well as Facebook. Melvin, appreciate it. All right, so besides that, FSBO, for sale by owner, what can we do when we see these FSBOs? Like, you don't need to drive by in a neighborhood where you have to go look for the FSBO signs. FSBOs are everywhere. They're online. There's sites dedicated to FSBOs. You can find them on Craigslist. You can find them on Facebook even. And all we have to do is just become craftful. You might be like, yo, D, but how do I approach them? Well, how you approach them is, number one, is the address because it's listed, right? But more importantly, the ins and outs and why they probably are doing FSBO to begin with. So they may be doing FSBO for a few reasons. For sale by owner, typically will do it because they maybe don't want to let their neighbors know that they're selling their home because they're embarrassed, or they don't have enough equity to then pay a realtor, or are greedy with their equity and don't want to pay a realtor, or simply don't want to give up that portion, right? So there could be multiple reasons why they're doing a for sale by owner as opposed to having a real estate agent. And whatever it is, we need to understand the vulnerability of that owner selling as just by themselves. Because when this person who is selling their house by themselves ultimately does their open house, it's just them, bro. Like if someone knocks on their door or contacts them, it's just them. Like they're inviting strangers into their own home. There's this vulnerability about it. They don't even know if they qualify. And that is ultimately what we can provide them, is the security. Security, knowing that, hey, before you let anyone in your house, or before you spend any time with sharing any of your information on your property, I can go ahead and make sure they're buttoned up. I can help you pre-qualify them. Make sense? I can help you get in front of the eyes of the agents that you need to be in front of without you paying them any commission. Make sense? Because ultimately what happens is when these people who put up their house for sale by owner, there's a reason for that. And all you got to do is just find out, but it gives you this opportunity to network with them. And as long as you're craftful in the way that you approach them, like instead of saying, hey, I noticed that you got a for sale by owner, let me go and help you do the loan, or let me go and, that's more of a salesman. That's kind of like a shark. And instead, you can craft your message in a way and saying, hey, you know what? I noticed you got a for sale by owner sign, or I noticed your property was listed in for sale by owner section. I have helped a lot of homeowners within your area find their new home and also sell their current property. And I'd like to just at least give you my contact information. What I believe you'd be able to find most valuable in having my contact information is I can become your resource. You see, that's it. That ultimately what you're doing is you're introducing yourself in a way that is not demanding business. It's more or less just like, hey, just notice that you're there. I see you. Here's my contact info. Here's why people like you, like me. This is what they found. And if it's valuable for you, now you have my contact info. The key is that you don't ask for anything. On the first engagement, never ask for anything, because they're going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be there next week. They're going to be there in 3 days, right? Like, it's not going to just all of a sudden disappear on you. And why it's important to open up the relationship that way is because you guys are strangers. There is no relationship. But if you open up the relationship in that way, then it becomes someone they're familiar with already. Like, oh yeah, I remember you. You gave me your contact info. I appreciate you not being pushy. What up, right? And then you can start going into the dialogue, which is much more effective than jumping on them and try to, pat them down for some business and be like, hey, let me be your go-to. Come on, please. And let me buy you some coffee. You want to avoid that, because then you just become this bugaboo. So besides a FSBO, for sale by owner resources, again, garage sale groups. I think I went over that. A lot of times these garage sale groups are selling a lot. It's not everyone. Like, if you see one person selling old clothes, it probably doesn't mean they're moving. But if they're selling like a lot of items, like you see their name multiple times, that could be a clue to someone who's either in the need of money, which means they could possibly refinance, or they're selling their stuff to move. And if they're planning on moving, then all you have to do is just introduce yourself and say, hey man, if you're in the process of moving or you need to save a couple extra bucks, feel free to let me know. Here's my contact info. I work in blah, blah, blah. And I help a lot of homeowners in blah, blah, blah. Right? And that's it. It's just a friendly exchange of information. And even if they decline you, it's okay, right? Like, if they decline, oh no, I don't need to refinance, or oh no, I rent, right? Or oh no, I'm not moving. There's still a resource that you could revisit in a later time, because you didn't try to hound them for business up front. Now you create this bridge where the seed's already been planted. You could revisit plant a little later and be like, hey man, you remember like 5 months ago, I actually exchanged my information with you on the garage sale group. And I told you that I help homeowners within your area, just checking in with you, seeing everything's okay. I was actually in your neighborhood, right? Or I'm actually working with one of your neighbors, and I thought of you. Like, oh yeah, I remember you. You were so cool. You didn't try to hound me for business. And that is how you actually create a long-lasting relationship. But besides those garage sale groups, I got 2 more. I'll let you guys go. Is construction companies, contractors. There are more and more contractors that are just sprouting up, because and I know this firsthand, because I'm just getting my kitchen, dining room downstairs. Half of my downstairs right now is being constructed for the last 2 months. If you guys only understood what this room looks like this is my home office, but I got a ton of stuff all around me, because our house has just kind of been in this disarray. And so now we're almost complete. We're about 1 week out from being done. I'm excited because we get the house back. Anyway, when the project started at the very beginning, one of the things that most contractors do is they will let you design. They'll let you talk up everything that you want. And then they'll tell you what the price is. But oftentimes, the homeowner will have kind of like this thing set in mind, right? Like, if you've owned a home, or if you've done any projects in your home, you know what this is like. Like, before you get any quotes or bids, the very first thing you need to do is actually design it yourself. Like, what do you want? And oftentimes, especially with married couples, the wife is just going to paint the world. Like, I want a pony in here. I want a fucking unicorn over here. All these random things, like, ooh, I don't know how much a unicorn is going to cost, babe. But anyway, when it finally gets laid out and the design consultation is done, then the price is announced. And typically what happens is that homeowner is going to either kind of come down on a few things, or they're going to stay at that price range. And the contractors most oftentimes only have one resource to give when it comes to financing. Like, a lot of them are not plugged in. You'll be amazed how many of them are not plugged in to a loan officer who can then provide them access to an equity line of credit or a cash out refinance. And why it's amazing is because these contractors are basically giving the answer to their clients of how to afford their cost. So that the contractor, their upside is that they don't need to tell them to downgrade or lower the price of their job of what they really want. They can deliver what they really want. And if they can't gain financing through different places because maybe their credit or their income, then if they're obviously the homeowner, otherwise they wouldn't be reconstructing the house. So if the contractor say, hey, you know what, and if this price is too expensive for you, call my buddy. He's helped a lot of my clients before get the money that they need to do the improvements. I don't want you to have to settle and take out the idea of installing the unicorn on the wall. Like, I don't want you to have to remove the waterfall from, from your dining room. Like, whatever it is, some outlandish, whatever project that they got, that is the contractor's way of saying, hey man, like if you're having issues with financing, call my buddy. Like, he'll help you out with either access to funds from your equity, or get you a better offer than what you can get with one of these adjustable rates, or like these home energy liens that attach or increase your property taxes. And if you can do that, that's strong, because these people are getting bids every day, all day long, and they do big bids, right? Like, of course, you want to work with a reputable company. You want to do some homework with the company that is going to be sharing your contact information. The last thing you want to do is go with a construction company that does a piss poor job, and then now they remember you as being their bridge to get that piss poor job, and now they're painting your name and the construction company's name up on all the websites, right? So anyone searches your name, now you just see your name all over Yelp saying, yeah, this shitty company, blah, blah, blah. So you want to be careful. You still want to do your research. And then finally, builders. Builders, my God, like there are certain pockets in different areas within the cities. Builders, some of you guys listening to right now, like, oh, I can't do builders. Like, there's relationships there, and they already got their preferred lenders in place, and they got all this and that. And for some, it might be true, depending on how big your company is. Like my company, like we can't approach some builders because there's already established relationships. But then again, I work for one of the largest direct bank lenders in the entire country. So you might be working for a more smaller, company that doesn't necessarily have a relationship with these builders. And you might be thinking, yeah, but D, they got, these preferred lenders already. They got these relationships. How am I supposed to come in? Well, how you're supposed to come in, again, is just like how you should be coming in with all of these resources. You don't come in asking for business. You don't come in asking to help them, because they're already good. What you come in as is someone who delivers value. It's just like our prospects. Like, I'm always preaching the message of give value, don't sell. Right? They don't sell them on like, hey, let me help you get a lower rate or a lower payment. What you do is you bring value by giving them a solution to what they need. And what do builders need? They need to sell. They need to sell the house. So what's going to be valuable to a builder is marketing and giving them leads that actually gives them an increased chance of selling the home. That's ultimately what's going to have them look at you as opposed to their realtors or as opposed to their current preferred lenders, because you're the one that brought the actual buyer. Does that make sense? And of course, some of you might be like, well, yeah, but then what happens is then they refer to that preferred lender. Well, in your contracts and inside your your dealings with that particular builder, if you are the one who actually delivers the lead source, then you can actually make a communication. Because if you're just going in with just the everyday rep who helps you design, and you just talk to one specific customer service agent, you actually have to talk to one of the heads, one of the executive team members within that company. And there has to be that agreement and be like, hey man, I got access to a ton of home buyers and people who are going to be selling their home all in their future and looking for houses. And I need to know that if I have any of my network come here, you're not going to try to farm them to your own preferred lender. If I find out that happens, I'm going to pull away my entire network, and you have lesser chance of selling more of these homes. Does that make sense? Like, I got a strong relationship with my network. I'll remove access to that from you, and I will paint a bad picture with anyone trying to do business with your team. And you have that right, because those are your leads. That's your community. And I think that, oftentimes is not looked at because it's kind of intimidating, right? Like, oh, builder, man, there's like 900 properties. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, bro. All they're trying to do is just move units. They're just like you. You just have to find some familiarity, and don't be so scared of the rejection. Don't be so scared of what will happen. throw yourself in there and find out for yourself, because when you experience what happens, and then at enough times, you're going to get the results. And with that experience and results, that's what gives you confidence. And nothing happens overnight. You know, a lot of these relationships, they don't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one phone call. So you got to be prepared to put in the work. But if you are prepared to put in the work, I promise you, you're going to get a massive return. Because let's just say, even in 1 month, if you contacted 10 different people, and nine of them told you to go kick rocks, at least you got one person sending you business. And now you've learned from those other 9 people of how to properly farm business, or how to go and hunt for that business. They've taught you, they've become a valuable resource to you, because they gave you the experience that you needed to become better at approaching your next 10 people. And so with that next 10, and you only get, let's say 2, well, now you got 3 people giving you business. And those other 7 that just turned you down, they're that much more valuable, because they taught you why you shouldn't do certain things. Man, if we continue to wait for business to come to us, or use old, outdated strategies to win and earn us business, we're going to stay in this cycle of just frustration and this built up aggression. And I want you to know that at the end of the day, we need to all really enjoy ourselves. We need to enjoy what we do. And if we get to a point where we don't enjoy what we do, then it becomes very hazardous to our mindset and our momentum. And it's not our fault if we get to that point, because it is sometimes we just get burnt. We just get burnt out. Like, we're done. We're done with being told no. We're done with being rejected. We don't want to knock on another door or ask another thing. And what I have found in my many years of experience is the reason why you feel that way is because you're not paying attention to the process. Instead, you're just going along with the process. And if you understood that it has a lot to do with the process in order to achieve the outcome, you're going to understand that there is a whole new way to do this process. Is a remastered way to do this process. And so if you sell for a living, you need to understand a few things that I could share with you at my channel at Sales Remastered. So if you're catching this on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, I invite you to go check out my channels, go look at the video content, see the information, and visit the university. You know, I'll leave a link below this video. If you haven't downloaded a copy of the sales script, I can give for free. It's a PDF download. Make sure you use your personal email address, by the way. There's a link below this video. It's going to give you a great script on how to do outbound solicitation and how to do inbound solicitation. Does that make sense? So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you very much, especially for those of you who've been dropping comments here on IG. Appreciate you guys. And I look forward to the next session. Actually, next week is Thanksgiving, so I'm actually not going to be on next week. I'm going to let everybody, be with their family and enjoy themselves for Turkey Day. So actually, next Thursday is not going to be a session, but the following Thursday will. And I'll pick it up from where we left off and carry off from there. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you very much. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to DM me either on Instagram or LinkedIn or even Facebook. And I'd be more than happy to assist you off the record. Cool? All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Bye.